All right, it's a Thursday tradition during football season because you can't do it if there aren't games. The matchups to watch, a draft of those specific factors for tonight's game. Myles, I give you the first pick. Matchups to watch in tonight's season opener between Buffalo and the LA Rams.
Give me Jaylen Ramsey versus Stefan Diggs. I mean, these are two of the absolute best at their position. And the Rams move around Jaylen Ramsey. They call him the star on that defense. That's his position. But whenever you're talking about a guy who is an elite corner and somebody who is an elite wide receiver like Stefan Diggs, and the just connection that he's got with Josh Allen. I don't know if there's anybody making sweet, sweet football music like those two. It's going to be fun to watch those two go at it.
Especially with Ramsey, kind of an open question from a health standpoint. He's not on the injury report, I don't believe. He had a shoulder problem. He was going to be on the PUP list. They just went easy with him. Is he ready to go? He had that surgery after the end of the offseason program. So that is going to be a key matchup. I agree with you completely. First one for me, I'm going to go Von Miller versus Joe Noteboom, the replacement for Andrew Whitworth, to the extent I assume they'll move Von Miller around, but you've got Miller, you've got Gregory Rousseau, you've got guys in the interior that can provide pressure. Von Miller sacrificing the fact that he got less attention when he was with Aaron Donald. He'll get a little more attention, but can they stop him? How much will they help the left tackle when he's lined up in that spot to try to get around the edge to Matthew Stafford? I think that's a key matchup in this game.
I agree with you. And, that's an underrated thing, Joe Noteboom coming in to replace Whitworth. But he has played. He's been there since 2018, filled in admirably, I thought, in that playoff run that they had. And then, of course, Miller could also go against Rob Havenstein, who they just gave an extension to on the other side. So congrats to him for that. My next matchup is something I mentioned earlier in the show, but Aaron Donald versus Roger Sapple. Like, those guys on the interior, they know each other very well. They practice against each other. They played with each other for years and years, both in St. Louis and in Los Angeles on the Rams. And look, Aaron Donald is one of the elite players in the game. And I just feel like this is one of those times where he can come out there and show that he is still that dude and perhaps get on that first step of his fourth Defensive Player of the Year award.
And second Super Bowl win. And I think it's going to take a lot for MVP buzz for Aaron Donald. We were talking about this yesterday, I think, with Shireen. Lawrence Taylor in 86, Alan Page in 71, the only two defensive players to ever win it. Bills defense versus Cooper Kupp. We alluded to this earlier. With the full offseason to get ready, knowing that the Rams are the first team, watching what the Bengals did to neutralize Kupp until Odell Beckham Jr. got injured. And yes, Kupp ultimately caught the game-winning pass and was the MVP, even though it should have been Aaron Donald. The Bengals did have a plan for Kupp that made him not nearly as prolific as he'd been all year long. What would the Bills do to take Kupp away? And then the obvious next question becomes, how do the Rams pivot away from that? What's their plan if Kupp isn't there? But I want to see how that Bills defense, without Tre'Davious White, how do the Bills go about slowing down Cooper Kupp? All right, we've done two picks each. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll regroup and do a third pick of the matchups to watch for tonight's season opener when PFT Live concludes right after this. All right, one more selection each as we look at the matchups for tonight's season opener. Myles, what else do you have?
Well, you were talking about Cooper Kupp versus that secondary, the Buffalo secondary versus Cooper Kupp. I'll go the Rams' third receiver versus that Buffalo secondary because they don't have Van Jefferson. He is out tonight with a knee injury. Ben Skoranek, Tutu Atwell are expected to pick up the slack as the third receiver. That's a big position in the Rams' offense based on the way they always line up with one tight end and then three wide receivers. We will see what those guys can do against that secondary.
Last one for me, and I'm kind of taking a liberty here with the whole matchup thing, but it's Ken Dorsey versus the memory of Brian Daboll, even though it may be inflated a little bit more than justified because there were some stretches last year where the offense wasn't great. You mentioned the debacle in Jacksonville, but Ken Dorsey stepping into that role as offensive coordinator. Can he forget what the Bills have done in the past, not compare himself with anyone, not compete with Brian Daboll or whatever's expected, and just come out there and be the guy the Bills need to be to take their offense to the next level. Because if they are going to win the Super Bowl, if they are going to make good on all these expectations, the offense has to go next level. It has to be even better than it's been, because the past 2 years, even though it's been great, hasn't been good enough.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just rest on what you've done before. And I think most good coaches around the league know that. They understand it. And when you're Ken Dorsey, you're coming in and you're replacing somebody now. Like, it is a difference, but he's been there, right? He's been with Josh Allen. He knows Josh Allen was the quarterback's coach before. We'll see if he can elevate the scheme, bring something a little bit new, bring some more wrinkles there, take advantage of what Gabe Davis can do. And we'll see how that works out into them scoring points.
Who do you like tonight? Give me a score. Give me a winner. Well, you can give
Rams.
I guess you have to give me a winner if you give me a score. You can give me a score without a winner, and we can just guess.
I'll take Rams 30-27. They win. Wow. And they raise the banner in a nice way.
My pick, as announced on Tuesday during the podcast I do with Sims, 30-24 Rams. So we are both on the Rams. Sorry, Bills. The hype train is going to have to wait a week. Myles, we'll see you on Monday. Every Monday. That's a hell of an announcement as we go off the air. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.